On the Rocks with Mallie Fox strongly discourages drinking and driving. Please do not operate any vehicle while impaired. Please give your keys to someone responsible or hire the services of someone who can get you safely to where you need to go. So please don't drink and drive. However, drinking and carving pumpkins is totally fine because who really needs all 10 fingers nowadays?
It's been a hard day. Time to kick back, relax, and prepare a cocktail. Preferably one that is on the rocks with Mallie Fox.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to On the Rocks with Mallie Fox. I'm Mallie, and across from me is my awesome producer, Tim Dennis. Hi, Tim.
Hiya.
How are you holding up today?
Too good.
I know. I know. If anyone has been paying attention to social media, our Tim Dennis was in a car accident this past weekend.
Tiny one.
Just a tiny one.
Yeah.
But you were a trooper and went to the Chicago, what was it? The Chicago Convention, but it had a certain name for it.
Chicago Ghost Conference.
Yes. And how was that? Tell everybody about it.
Smashing. It was smashing, Mallie. Let's see. Other adjectives I could use for it. It was...
painfully good?
Yes, painfully good.
Thank you.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Let's see. Well, how else could I put it? It was exhilaratingly... I don't know. I've run
Jaw life.
Jaws of life.
Yeah.
It was pryingly exhilarating.
There we go.
Yeah. It was a slam bang fantastic time. No, I had a great time. I always have a really good time at Chicago Ghost Con. It's always it always seems to be the trip down there. Especially when I'm driving. Maybe I need to talk to Ursula about how I get down there again from now on.
Yeah, maybe just next time you just fly.
Well, we used to fly down there.
Okay.
We used to fly down there, when was that? That's probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I think the final straw was when Spirit Airlines was introduced.
Oh.
That was it. Spirit Airlines is kind of like is like a step up from putting you in a slingshot and launching you into the air.
So you're kind of expecting, I always think that the airline would be kind of like you would see like chickens and goats kind of like walking the aisles.
It's kind of it.
And it's like packed and, you just don't have it. Because everything is a la carte with Spirit, correct?
Oh, boy, yeah. It's very much, I think a la carte's being nice. Spirit Airlines is the equivalent of, we put a couple of lawn chairs into a cargo hold and just hold on for dear life.
But it's probably not too bad, though, if you have, because I've flown it to Minnesota before from Detroit. And as long as you are aware that you are basically providing your own beverage and food and hope to God that maybe there's not someone in the center seat, I think you're okay for like an hour.
Well,
hour and a half.
Provide your own beverage, your own food.
Which I do anyway.
Sometimes your own seatbelt. Yeah, hold your luggage on your lap. There's not really a cargo hold for that. Yeah, you want to make sure the people next to you have showered.
Yeah,
there's that deal. You might want to provide bring a small handheld fan because there's not really air circulation. Unless you open a window, they'll let you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really care if the windows are open on the plane.
I always I have this weird phobia with airplanes. Back in the Darkness Radio days, we used to travel a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But then, I always, let's try it again. Drinks are kicking in.
Yep.
I used to travel for other things as well. However, I have this fear of being on a plane and for some odd reason, I go hungry or thirsty. So I hit that store in the airport and I load up, like I'm $40 into it.
Oh, yeah.
Of like snacks and like 3 kinds of drinks, even if it's for like a 45-minute flight. I just have this fear that something's going to happen and I'm not going to have any food or beverage.
It's like $17 for M&Ms, that store. Yeah.
But it's just this weird thing I've got and I just have to have it. So I fully load up. But I'm not that person that brings a frickin' tuna fish sandwich on.
Oh, God, no.
Because I have sat next to that person before and it is awful.
I love the person who goes to the airport Burger King and orders the big fish sandwich, the one sandwich nobody gets at Burger King.
I know, right?
And they sit right next to you.
Oh, my goodness. And you can spot them like entering the plane. And you're like, oh, that person's going to be sitting next to me. I could just feel it. And they do.
Yep, they do.
Oh, those people. And then they like hog the air and then they're just kind of like in your space and take off their shoes. And they're just
so it's that
rude airplane etiquette.
Cheesy big fish odor for 2.5 hours. And you know that, and they've got the outside seats and you know you're not getting up to go to the restroom and you're just trapped. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it.
It's bad.
Yeah.
But, well, I'm glad you had a good time at the conference.
I did. I had an excellent time. In fact, do you remember Coach Mike Ganster? He looks like Coach Mike Dicka.
I'm trying to think. I think I do.
Yeah. He was there.
Okay.
Coach was there. So,
well, I know like a lot of the regulars were there, you said.
Yeah. A lot of the usual suspects were there at Chicago Ghost Con. So it was good to see a lot of the usual suspects that are there and hang out with them. And I know I sound okay. So we got. I'm going to just. I'm truth in advertising, as we call it in the wrestling business. I like to shoot a lot here, Mallie.
Okay.
Someone gave us a review on the last podcast that we sounded flat. I'm going to sound flat all podcast long. You want to know why, Mallie?
Do you want me to fall asleep?
No. Here's the deal. I'm going to sound low in my voice tone. I'm going to sound like maybe I just woke up from a nap. You know, I'm going to sound that way, Mallie, because I've literally, and earmuffs, kids, had the shit kicked out of me this weekend.
Yeah.
I got hit in a 30 by a car going about 60 miles an hour.
But he claims 30.
He claims 30, and I was pried out of my van by the jaws of life. And I pulled a Willis Reed, you know, the New York Knicks Willis Reed thing, where I showed up to the conference 4 hours after I'd been pulled out of a van by the jaws of life and did my job.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a little rocky right now. And so I don't exactly sound like, I may not sound like I'm thrilled to be here, but I am thrilled to be here, Mallie. I love doing this show with you. It's just that I sound like I probably should still be in the hospital. Right.
Well, I mean, your body took a toll.
It did. Yeah. I got knocked around pretty good.
Yeah. And that's scary. But I'm so glad that, you know, it wasn't as, it could have been a lot worse. So.
Right. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. Like I could be doing the show from the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. You could bring Jody Levon over here and could be channeling me.
I love her. I haven't seen her forever. She's always so happy.
She is. Well, that's why she's the happy medium.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But no, she's always so friendly. So while you were doing that, I was actually doing an investigation. Well, I had 2 weekends of investigations. And then we had, in the town I live in, we had a cemetery walk. And at the cemetery walk, we gave our presentations of the results. And I'll have to tell you, okay, so you know how like when you investigate, a lot of times nothing will happen. You know what I mean? It's a lot of sitting around.
Yeah, I like to call it 4 hours in the dark. That's a lot of what happens with me on investigation.
Yeah, and we were trying to, you know, and we had that in mind that probably nothing's going to ever happen. I think only one group had investigated this place before, and it was like, they weren't even a group. I think it was a woman and a couple of friends, and it was like years and years ago. And she claimed nothing happened. So when we started going over evidence, we were so surprised that we were catching EVPs. We were catching our sensors were going off, our REM pods when nothing, you know, no one was around. We have this like, looks like a coffin, but it's a music box. You can actually see it on Ghost Adventures. They used it once when they were like in a hangar, I think.
Okay.
But I forget what it's called. Paranormal music box, I think. And so it's a sensor, and it plays this really creepy music if something goes off. And we heard that going off upstairs when we were all downstairs, and we got all these things. So it was really cool to get all this evidence. And so I was telling my dad some of the stuff we caught. Because God bless my parents. They have put up with my shenanigans for so long. Because my dad's, you know, my dad's a lawyer, Republican. You know, he's a politician, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, my mom's way of thinking is if you don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist. She kind of is scared of stuff. So I was telling my parents all the things that we caught when we investigated this place. And my dad was so funny. He was like, you know what you should do, Mallie? You should tell people about your stories. You should talk about the paranormal with people. you're a great storyteller. I go, Dad, what do you think I do? I tell stories all the time. I'm always talking about my experiences. And he's just like, I think people would be very interested. I'm like, okay, Dad. God bless his soul.
That's a great idea. You should really tell us a story sometime.
I know, shouldn't I?
Yeah. It's a different twist.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so that's what we were doing. And then decorating the house for Halloween.
Nice.
So yeah, we're that house with the full-size candy bars.
Oh, you're that house?
Yes. Yep.
You know what I like to do? I like to pretend like I'm putting the candy in the bag for the kids, and I like to take it out. So I get a whole collection of candy by the time the kids have come around. Yeah. You should see the stuff I collect.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Remember when you used to go trick-or-treating and you would get like pennies because they'd run out of candy? They're like, here's some loose change. You're like, thanks.
Yeah.
Or the McDonald's coupons. Do they even make those anymore?
I know they have coupon books they sell, but I don't think anybody like puts them in bags anymore.
But remember getting those too as a kid?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the coupon books. Yeah, like go get yourself a cheeseburger.
Yeah, or a soft serve or something.
Yeah, like a soft serve cone or a cookie. McDonald's cookies. Remember when you could go get well, you still can get McDonald's cookies. Actually, you know what? You know who makes some of the best chocolate chip cookies in town?
Who?
McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever just gone to McDonald's for chocolate chip cookies?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, they're wonderful. Yeah, but they're a little known secret. It's like a dirty little secret at McDonald's. Is there chocolate chip cookies?
I'll have to check that out next time I go.
Did I tell you about my big McRib failure?
No. Now, I know that you and Dave always talked about McRibs.
Yes.
But are they out
connoisseurs.
again? I thought they kind of, like they're seasonal or something.
They are. They're seasonal. They're much like Halloween.
Okay.
They come around on Halloween just to scare vegans, I think is what they do.
Okay.
And, they end up in stores and they're only around for a couple of short months and then they disappear again, much like, Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. And they're gone. It's like the Great Pumpkin. They come out of the pumpkin patch and then they disappear. And so this year, for some reason, McDonald's in its infinite wisdom decided to skip the Twin Cities. I don't know why. We have plenty of meat eaters around here.
Right.
We have plenty of McRib lovers here in the Twin Cities. But they just held a big Ronald McDonald middle finger to the Twin Cities and said, screw you guys, we're going home. And
so where's like the nearest one?
Winona, Minnesota.
Oh, that's quite a drive just for a McRib.
Exactly. And we're not going to Winona, Minnesota for a McRib or Duluth, Minnesota for a McRib.
But I drive to Toledo for Chick-fil-A because we don't have any near us. So I have to drive to the next state over, which granted is only like half hour, 45 minutes. But if I'm craving that Chick-fil-A, I drive.
I would mail you one, but it'll probably grease its way through the envelope and fall out.
Nope. I drive to Toledo.
Ew. That's it. Yeah.
But they got like 20 of them in that city. So.
But how far is the drive to Toledo for you?
No, it's seriously like maybe about 40 minutes.
Okay, that's 40 minutes.
Yeah.
We're talking.
Because I'm right outside of Detroit.
We're talking over 2 hours.
Okay.
For a
McRib.
Pardon my language, shitty rib sandwich.
Right.
I mean, it's good, but not great.
Right.
I mean, it's like, oh, this is good, but oh, it's not great. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, it's like a familiar taste from your childhood, but not, one that you'd kill a man for.
Well, do you think like there was like this underground kind of boycott? Because Minneapolis, St. Paul, they're kind of different. And I say this in a good way because, I mean, I lived in both St. Paul and Minneapolis, but just like there's so more like health conscious and just, I don't know how to describe them, but do you think they like somehow said, no, we're not having that crap in our city?
I don't think we're that health conscious. We have 5 Portillo's restaurants now, and we have 2 more coming. I mean,
Is Portillo's really bad for you, though?
Oh, God, yeah.
Isn't that a sandwich place?
Hot dogs and Italian beef sandwiches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a Chicago-based restaurant. I mean, we've opened our arms to beef and grease and pork products. I mean, it's pretty much a given that I think we want the McRib.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe they did that demographic kind of study. Okay, where do we sell the most of them?
But see, they sell it year after year here. And it's just this year. I think you know what it was, is they heard us on Beyond the Darkness talking about
someone
how much we love the McRib. And they said,
Right.
you know what? Maybe we ought to take Porky 1 and Porky 2 and not give them their McRibs this year.
Yeah, because you guys do talk about that sandwich a lot.
Oh, we do. We trumpet.
I mean, more than I talk about Nutella.
Right. We trumpet the loveliness of the McRib every year and how it can change society as a whole and how we can create peace on earth with the McRib. And I think they sit back and go, let's see if we can create war by leaving McRibs out of the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can start a fascist state there in Minnesota. And so they decided they would only bring it to outstate Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So they just decided to piss us off. So Dave and I made a pact because he was traveling separate from I, because he was going to speak at his old high school, and so he was going down a day early. And we had used the McRib locator to figure out.
They've got a locator?
There is, McRibLocator.com. Okay. There you go. You're welcome, McRib Locator. We expect some advertising money.
Exactly.
And we had used it to map where all the places were that had the McRib, all the different McDonald's restaurants.
Uh-huh.
So I figured there's a couple stores in Madison on the way down. That's about the halfway point between Minneapolis and Chicago. So I figured that's where I would stop for lunch to get me a delicious, delicious McRib, right?
Right.
So I get to Madison. I get me, and I had it planned out. Dave and I were trying to figure out what the right amount of McRib sandwiches to get was.
Okay.
To still keep them somewhat fresh and yet still have a couple left over for an additional meal. Right?
Oh, boy. You guys put a lot of thought into this.
We've got it mapped out. He said 3.
Okay.
I maintain 4, and this is why, Mallie. I say 2 for the immediate meal.
Okay.
You got a third for like when you get to the hotel, because if you're driving an additional 3 hours, and let's say that's your first meal of the day, you might need an additional one for like a late dinner, and then you have one for breakfast.
Good God, I'd hate to be in that room when you take a crap. Jesus.
Let's just say housekeeping won't be in a real hurry to clean your room.
Right.
So I figured that's perfect, 4, he says 3, because then you've got 2 for now, 1 for later. And that I could see his rationale.
Okay.
But sure, 3 or 4, we didn't really argue much over it. But
All
hey,
right.
maybe if you buy 4, you've got an additional one for a friend. Maybe you've got a friend in need. A friend in need of a McRib is a friend indeed. So there
Right.
you go. I got 4. So I've got my 4 McRibs, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So here is how badly my trip was going. Here's how cursed I was on
So
this
this is
trip.
how your trip started, basically going downhill.
Right. This was.
So McDonald's is the cause of your decline.
They were the catalyst.
Okay.
Of the whole downfall of
Okay.
my trip. So I pull into one of the many McDonald's that had the McRib in Madison. Mm-hmm. I go in and I get my fresh McRib. Uh-huh. And I even...
Are they really fresh, though?
Oh, yeah. They made them up. They microwaved them right there in front of me.
Okay, go on.
Slathered on the fake barbecue sauce and sawed off a couple of those not so fresh onions and
Right.
threw a couple of plastic jarred pickles right there in front of me. Uh-huh. And then threw them in a box and handed them to me and said, there you go, sir.
Because it's some poor 14-year-old that's going through puberty.
Yeah, who's just learned how to microwave a McRib. So then hand them to me and off I go. Mm-hmm. Now, before I left, I figured, I'm just going to take one bite. Just one small bite, Mallie, just to remember what I've been struggling the entire year
Right.
for. What I've sacrificed that entire year for, Mallie. Uh-huh. What I've gone through for that entire year, that struggle, that strife, that the yoke upon my personage, Mallie. Uh-huh. What I've gone through just to have that one tiny bite of McRib. Now, Mallie, before I set this up for you and before I go through the exact pain I went through with
Right.
this one tiny bite, I'll let you know I have a small hiatal hernia. Okay?
Okay.
Never in my life with the small hiatal hernia, which I've had for about a decade, have I ever gotten any food trapped in this hiatal hernia, Mallie.
Jesus.
Never, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
Until I took this one small bite of McRib, Mallie, which firmly got trapped in my esophagus above my stomach.
Oh, Jesus.
Which felt like I had something firmly trapped in my esophagus.
Right.
It didn't want to go down. It didn't want to go up. It just got stuck there. And it felt like I needed to upchuck, but I couldn't.
Right.
So now I was miserable. The other thing that was happening as I was driving, because I do drive left-footed because of my Charcot foot. I have my foot in what's called a crow walker brace, which doesn't allow me to bend my ankle. I drive a left-footed accelerator in my van, which is now no longer as part of this world as we know it.
Right. It's been laid to rest.
It's gone to minivan heaven now, Mallie. And yes, they don't take it to a farm and let it loose. So I was getting a cramp in my left leg because my left leg does see a lot of action that my right leg doesn't see anymore. It's true. When you use something too much, it starts to cramp up.
Oh.
And after about 3 hours of driving, my leg does cramp up.
Okay.
Now, there's a neat little foam that advertises on Beyond the Darkness called TheraWorks, and it works amazingly. If you ever get cramps in your legs overnight when you're sleeping, if you ever get cramps anywhere, in your muscles, TheraWorks foam is amazing. It gets rid of the cramps right away. So I tend to carry this TheraWorks foam wherever I go. It's TheraWorks with an X. There you go. I'm advertising again. So I figured I'll go stop off and get some TheraWorks. Now, there was a Hy-Vee right down the street from McDonald's. Now, keep in mind, I've got this little piece of McRib trapped in my hiatal hernia, and it's bouncing up and down, and it feels like I'm choking to death. But my leg is cramping up even worse. So I can't really even drive right now, much less, it feels like I can still breathe. It just feels like I'm going to throw up.
Every time you say hernia, I always think of the 16 Candles when they had the foreign exchange student. They kept saying hyena.
Yeah, hyena. I had a hiatal hyena going on. And so I drive over to Hy-Vee. They didn't have any on their pharmacy shelf. Okay. Well, as I go into Hy-Vee, as I'm looking for it on their shelf, what I'm doing to try and get the McRib out of my hiatal hernia is I'm slamming myself and my back into the pillar that's there in the pharmacy section.
Are people thinking you have special needs?
I think they did, yeah. I think they thought maybe there was something a bit titched with that boy over there in the pharmacy.
Keeps slamming himself against the wall.
Yep. And you know how people are there in Madison. They probably looked at me and said, that boy over there in the twin sweatshirt's a bit titched. So I was slamming myself and I'm like trying to get this piece of McRib up. Well, evidently I hit myself against the pillar so hard that it started to come up. And I thought, oh, I better get the hell out of here. So I kind of speed walked out of the pharmacy, out the door.
Right.
And I just kind of leaned over a bush. And rather than retch and make a big sound, I just kind of spit very quickly.
Right.
I just kind of and got rid of it in the bush. I know. That's attractive. Ladies, you can hit me up at tim@darknessradio.com if you're looking for a Don Juan that spits McRib all over the place. Yeah. So at this point...
You were like doing a backwards Heimlich in the store.
I was. Yeah, I was. I know. It's quite hot. So at this point... I hop in my van after freshly upchucking a McRib into the bush, and I drive over to Walgreens because I know they carry it.
I like how we've got a long story about a McRib.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That was the beginning of my and then I go get the TheraWorks. Now I've freshly uncramped my leg.
Perfect.
And I figure everything's fine.
Okay.
Right?
So you've got 3 sandwiches, like 3.5.
I've got 3 and 3/4. Yep.
Okay.
Now, here's the sick part, folks. This is when you know you've got an addiction. This is when you know you just can't get the monkey off your back. When you freshly upchucked a McRib and you look at the container sitting on your seat and you smell the barbecue sauce wafting into your nasal passages and you look at it and go, I could eat some more.
I hope you took like a smaller bite so it didn't get like lodged.
Oh, this was a small bite I took to begin with. It wasn't a big bite.
So then what are you like chewing it, and then...
It was, I chewed, and then I swallowed it, and it still got stuck in the hiatal hernia.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the container, and I went, I could eat. But I went, no, I'm not going to take another bite because I don't want that to happen again.
Right, especially when you're driving.
Right. I'm just going to wait until I stop for gas. Well,
Okay.
I stopped for gas in Rockford,
Okay.
which is another, hour down the road. And finally, I got brave enough to take another couple of bites, and it didn't happen that time. But
That's good.
yeah. Something worse happened, though, is I shredded a tire just a few more miles down the road in Elgin, and that's when my night got even more exciting.
Now, did you run over something to shred it, or
No.
it was just...
It just shredded.
Huh.
And what's weird is before I even left the Twin Cities, I had taken my van over to Jiffy Lube. I had them check my tires, and they said, "Oh no, the tires, everything looks good on your tires. There's no threads bare or anything." I had even had my van in for brake work, and they said, "Oh no, everything looks good on your van. It looks like you're ready to go to Chicago. Nothing looks weird on the outside of your tires. Your brakes are good. Everything's ready to go." So something just didn't want me to go to Chicago.
Well, even if it's an inconvenience, things happen
Yeah.
for a reason, kind of. I mean, that's really crappy what happened to you, but I mean, maybe something worse would have happened had you, not had that, and it prevented you from, going all the way to Chicago that night. Like you were supposed to stay the night in Elgin.
I guess.
I'm trying to look at the positive side here.
I met a really cool guy named Henry.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, a real spiritual guy. He actually told me about some of the spirits that hang out at that hotel.
Oh.
He said that he saw different shadow people and stuff like that. He didn't call them shadow people.
Right.
He was a very down-to-earth kind of Christian type of guy. Mm-hmm. Older gentleman, African-American, and we were talking, and he was talking about how, and he had written a few different books. He had self-published a few different books.
Okay.
And they were fiction. They were fiction books. And he had talked about how he had kind of, come to peace with some of the spirits that had wandered around the hotel.
Okay.
And
was it an old hotel?
It was older. It hadn't been owned by the Quality Inn all that
Okay.
time. I have a feeling it was like an old Holiday Inn or something
Gotcha.
like that. And but he had kind of talked about how he kind of left them alone and they kind of left him alone. And he had an interesting idea about what they were, and I kind of gave him the paranormal theory of what they were, and so we kind of came to an understanding. And I might have changed his mind about what they were as far as what was hanging around the Quality in there. But it was interesting because we had about an hour and a half conversation once I got there, and it was already, by the time I got to the hotel, it was already 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't get to sleep till about 3:30, and I had to be back up at about 6:30, 7 o'clock, because I had to go over at 8 o'clock to go get my van, or I had to go turn it in, or to go over there and get new tires on my van. So I was really tired. I had only had about 3.5 hours of sleep. So yeah, but I had a great conversation with Henry. It was very interesting. I mean, it was kind of that whole, what happens after you die, what happens with your spirit, is it truly earthbound? Because he didn't believe that human beings actually could be earthbound. He thought,
Really?
obviously you either went to heaven or hell and you didn't stay in this dimension or on this plane. You didn't have a choice.
Right.
So when we talked about that, it was interesting what his opinion was after that. So kind of interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
So as you were talking about the McRib and stuff, the combination of imagining smelling the barbecue sauce, the fake barbecue sauce, as you say,
Yeah.
and then this alcoholic beverage in front of me, it's quite the combination.
It is.
So every month we do a drink, and this one is fabulous. This one is dangerous. But I say that all the time because
it's
I'm a
very
light
good.
drinker. But this one is like a milkshake.
Uh-huh.
So Timmy got to choose this drink because I know we're like a month behind in signs. But it's for the Virgos, the idealists.
Oh.
And again, it's from that book, The Mixology of Astrology, the cosmic cocktail recipes for every sign.
I'm a Virgo.
Yes, you are.
Yep.
By Eliza Kelly Farragher. Sorry, I'm just throwing her name, so I apologize. But so you had the choice of many drinks, and you decided to do the mudslide.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is delicious, folks. So it says practical Virgos adore efficiency. These logical earth signs are systems-oriented and are naturally proficient at streamlining workflows, calendars, and activities. The mudslide is the perfect concoction for productive Virgos, as this delicious chocolatey beverage does double duty as both a potent cocktail and a decadent dessert. The mudslide features 3 different types of liqueur that produce a strong elixir, while its rich and creamy ingredients create the ideal boozy milkshake. Virgos will love this mouth-watering beverages, as well as Aquariuses, I must say. Beverage that is guaranteed to make an after-dinner indulgence a little more interesting. So for this, your ingredients serves 1, but I tripled the amount I made. But it's 1 ounce vodka, 1 ounce coffee liqueur, 1 ounce Irish cream liqueur, 1 ounce whole milk, and some chocolate syrup for garnish. It doesn't say anything about ice, but I figured if it's mentioning it like a milkshake, I added ice. I think I did I did a handful, so that might be a cup of ice. But you combine all the ingredients, except for the garnish in a blender. You blend until smooth, and you pour it into a glass, and then you drizzle with chocolate syrup to garnish, and no need to judge yourself, Virgo darling. You're allowed to indulge every once in a while. So that is what we're drinking tonight. And it is fabulous. So, talking about cocktails, we are now... What are we doing? We're going to go now do the hold my drink, because we're going to acknowledge the gentleman that left.
Said we were a bit flat.
Yeah, a bit flat.
Yeah.
So, and I always say your opinion is your opinion. You have a right to express it. And, thank you for the comment, because now we've got a bit to do. Because last month we didn't have any bad comments. So thank you, sir. And we will be addressing that and answering it right now.
It's time now for another episode of Hold My Drink, the segment where we answer Mallie Fox's emails, letters, and comments about the show On the Rocks with Mallie Fox, starring Mallie Fox, so she doesn't have to answer your responses from you, the great unwashed masses. I'm your host, Alistair Linkletter. Today's response comes from a comment that was left on episode 2 on our YouTube channel, and it comes from Tom's Corner. Thank you, first of all, Tom, for leaving your distinguished comment on our YouTube channel. It was greatly appreciated. But, buddy, pal, friend of mine, first of all, I like that you like parts of the show. Thank you. Thank you so much for the positive comment. It simply set my britches on fire. The second part, you said the podcast goes flat. Much like you on a Friday night, I see. I had to give you fair response because it looks like you have your own page, Tom. We'll be looking at that shortly. You add, I think maybe you need a third person in the show. Maybe Snallygaster. Something is missing. Oh, Tom. First, let us address what you think is missing in the show. I think it's quite quaint you say Snallygaster. Tom, that was the old show, the previous show. And if you'd like to address that person, which is neither Mallie or Tim, he's on another show. And if you just say the word Snallygaster to him, he'll vomit that up for days. He'll still do it, as a matter of fact. He'll go on and on and on. You say Space Worm, he'll do that forever as well. On and on and on and on. In fact, he won't shut up. He'll keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Just ask him. He'll do it. Go on, do it. Ask him. Request some Olga Chocobar or Dirty Elmo and see what he says. You probably won't hear that, but you'll hear plenty of Snallygaster and Space Worm. Sure, go ahead. Just saying. You don't need it here on the Rocks with Mallie Fox, I can assure you. Anyways, a third person. You'd like a third, would you, Tom? Would you like to be the third, Tom? Would you? Let's refer to your YouTube, Tom, and let's see if you qualify. Let's see. Tom's YouTube channel is very interesting. In fact, it simply just puts my naughty bits all on Twitter. Look, listen to this. Tom has hummingbirds at a feeder. Oh my. He's got wild fish swimming around. Oh, that's simply divine. Oh, and of course, don't forget about the campfire. I could sit and watch the campfire all day. Oh, and then, of course, when you really want to get your jollies, take a look at the fireworks. Yes, Tom, if anyone knows a good time, it's you, Tom's Corner. You've got the market on simply putting people all on Twitter. You know what, Tom? I think you're right. You are absolutely right, Tom. We need a third. And you know what? The only thing you didn't include in your comments is how to get a hold of you. I think we would have. It would have been On the Rocks with Mallie Fox and Putting On Your Personal Prom with Tom. That's what we would have changed the name of the show to, but, you know, it would have been a little too long. So we decided to scrap that. Oh well, Tom. Better luck next time. And this has been another edition of Hold My Drink. If you have something to say, you can either hold your tongue or simply email it into us at ontherocksradio@gmail.com. We'll see you next month. If you've got the balls, that is. I'm Alistair Linklater. Have a simply dreadful day.
It's time now for the segment we call Oh My God, Are You Okay? Otherwise known as Drunk News.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
Oh my God!
Oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fucking meditating.
So our first story today, remember when you were in high school and you were at a house party and you thought for some stupid reason if you put pennies in your mouth that the cops, wouldn't notice that you'd been drinking?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So this guy came up with something else. He kind of one-upped it. Mm-hmm. Drunk driver sprays deodorant in his mouth in an attempt to fool police.
So now, a little bit of Axe body spray?
Yes. So this happened a few months back.
Okay.
So it's an old story, but I hadn't heard it, and I thought it was funny.
Okay.
So Efren Ramirez's strategy failed when officers saw an open can of beer between his legs, 9 empty cans in the car floor, and noted signs of intoxication. This man was stopped by the police on suspicion of drink driving. Drink driving? Shouldn't be drunk driving.
Well, not if you're in the middle of it.
Guess so. He took the unorthodox step of using a can of deodorant as a makeshift breath freshener before facing officers. He was pulled over after he sped past a police car on a road in South Carolina's Spartanburg County before swerving into another lane. As officers walked towards the 49-year-old, he reached for a can of Axe. Oh, there you go.
See?
Axe spray. Officers saw him spraying the Axe body spray in his mouth when the deputy approached to cover the smell of alcohol in his breath, the police report states. They also found him at the wheel with an open can of beer between his legs and 9 empty cans on the floor. Another was open and full, and one remained unopened. The last-minute perfumery could not disguise the overwhelming odor of drink. He smelled of alcohol and exhibited signs of intoxication while talking to officers, the report says. He was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence after failing multiple field sobriety tests and taken to the sheriff's office headquarters, where he provided a breath sample indicating he was almost twice over the legal limit for operating a vehicle in South Carolina. He was charged with driving under the influence, having an open container, no proof of insurance, and no valid driver's license. Lynx body sprays, which is also known as Axe, typically contain alcohol, making his attempt concealment methods all the more futile. So, yeah. Wasn't the Axe body spray, weren't those commercials where, like, the woman would smell the man and be like, oh, you know what I mean? Just, like, attack him.
Unable to resist.
Yeah, so I wonder how his little cellmates felt when he came walking on in.
Let's just say somebody was wearing a wig and lipstick when he was freshly put into the cell.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So what stories do you have?
Well, Mallie, sometimes when you're drunk and you don't want to be identified, you give a fake name.
Okay.
You tell somebody you're Robert Smith of The Cure, or you tell somebody you're, I don't know, James Bond. This man claims he told the cops that he was Jason Bourne.
Okay.
He just, he slipped him the old fake name and hoped he'd get out of the area library. That's right, Mallie, you too can be drunk and studious at the same time.
Yes.
A drunken Florida man was booted out of an area library and then arrested after he identified himself to police as Jason Bourne, the fictional super spy created by author Robert Ludlum. Police are first called to the Barbara S. Ponce Public Library in Pinellas Park. This actually was back in April.
Okay. Because I think I remember hearing this story.
For causing a disturbance. That actually was that was what the report was for. And citing an arrest report, the boozed-up man identified as 45-year-old Jonathan William Chapman, nothing close to Jason Bourne.
No, not at all.
Refused to leave the library even after being asked multiple times by staffers to vamoose, which is actually a good word for them to use.
Right.
They're very skilled at the thesaurus over there at the
But I wonder
library.
if they kept their voice like down and kind of at a whisper
yes,
and like
was,
shh. Yeah.
Yes, it was vamoose. By the way, Mr. Bourne, vamoose. This according to the news outlet. When police arrived, Chapman told them his name was Bourne, Jason Bourne, played by actor Matt Damon in the blockbuster action thriller series. Chapman also gave cops a bogus social security number because if you're going to give him a bad name, why not give him a bad social? I mean, go all the way. Right. Authorities eventually figured out Chapman's true identity and busted him on a first-degree misdemeanor charge of resisting an officer without violence, because you don't want to go all the way when you're Jason Bourne. That'll just really get you in trouble. Plus, he probably didn't have a very good fighting style, Mallie. I'm pretty sure he couldn't do all the Hollywood moves that Jason Bourne did, too. Just saying. Did you want a second story from me?
Yeah,
here?
give me a second one.
Well, sometimes, Mallie, port in a storm is just a port in a storm.
Okay.
When you're getting drunk, you got to have a willing partner, and this Florida man found let's just say a not-so-willing partner, so he tried to make one.
Oh.
A Florida man was arrested for trying to get his alligator drunk. Yeah. A Florida man was reportedly arrested for trying to get an alligator drunk after his pal captured the reptile. That's right. He had a wingman, but not a great one. 27-year-old Timothy Kepke of Hobie Sound allegedly fed some beer to the animal, which also bit him.
Well, I kind of deserved it.
Well, he wasn't going to suck him, that's for sure.
Oh, Jesus. Tim.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe he was looking for a little loving. This happened back in August in Palm City. According to a Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission report obtained by T.C. Palm, moments earlier, Kepke told police 22-year-old Noah Osborne, the worst wingman in the world, caught the gator with his bare hands. Kepke told authorities he had consumed a few beers that day. Oh, you're kidding. But claimed he wasn't intoxicated during the incident.
Yeah.
After the beer feeding, which was recorded. Oh, God. They're not proud people.
Nope.
The duo released the animal back into the wild, Kepke told the officers. Authorities obtained the video, though it's unclear how, and on September 17th confronted Kepke at his home, where he copped to the crime. He had no choice. It was on video. A woman who was with the two men confirmed Kepke's account with police on September 21st. Both Kepke and Osborne were arrested October 3rd and charged with unlawfully taking a gator. Well, they didn't take them all the way, if you know what I mean.
Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah.
So I've got one more story.
Sure.
Ryanair passenger was so drunk upon landing that she thought she was still in Spain. So she had consumed a toxic mix of Xanax and alcohol before the flight. This passenger was so drunk that when she landed in Ireland, she still believed she was in Spain, a court has heard.
Wow.
Yes. Sierra Bradshaw, 38, from Limerick, was arrested when she landed at Shannon Airport last month. She pleaded guilty to 2 charges under the Air Navigation and Transport Act for her drunkenness and verbal abuse of staff. at Ennis District Court in County Clare, reported the Irish Times. The court heard that Miss Bradshaw had consumed a toxic mix of alcohol, including Bailey's Irish Cream. Hey, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And Smirnoff vodka. Oh, she's not doing top shelf. As well as prescription medication Xanax before the flight because she's a nervous flyer. The plane captain said, not just the captain, but the plane captain, said that the crew was worried that Miss Bradshaw was so drunk during the flight that she might put other passengers at risk. Miss Bradshaw's solicitor said that upon landing that she was in such a state that she thought she was still in Spain. She didn't realize that she was back in Ireland. Judge King said, what makes this worse than a general public order offense is that it happened in the aircraft cabin and there's nowhere for people to go. Miss Bradshaw told the people she phoned, told the court she phoned to police station the following day to apologize. She was ordered to pay £500 into the court poor box to avoid a conviction. So could you imagine you're so drunk you don't realize you've taken off and you've landed in a different country?
I did something almost embarrassing with Tim Shaw. We were so engrossed in conversation, we didn't realize we turned back and gone back to Detroit because of a bad engine.
You didn't hear the people overhead saying...
No, we didn't even realize. We had just landed and we were back in Detroit. We thought we were in Sault Ste. Marie. We got off the plane and went, where the hell are we? And they said, we're in Detroit. We thought we were going to be greeted by people from the Sioux.
Uh-huh.
Not that they do that sort of thing. But
right.
We thought it was going to be sewers. That's not what they call them, I know. But yeah, we thought it was going to be sewers. Just saying, how you doing, eh? But no, it didn't happen that way.
I totally missed because they announced it several times, and you hear people talking around you and everything, and you just did not.
No, we had some weird, wild guy in front of us we were making fun of, so it was, yeah, we totally missed it. Yeah.
Do you have another story?
I do.
Okay.
The trifecta, Mallie.
Right.
Evidently, we go back to Florida where...
Boy, Florida just keeps giving us the stories, don't they?
They do. They are a rich mine of... what's... no, I don't know what the term is. I struggle for a term here, Mallie, but they are a rich mine of I struggle for a term here. A rich mine of material. There you go. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
The words is hard when you're drinking mudslides,
which are very good.
They're very good. I'm almost done with mine, by the way. A Florida couple, time to change. Puberty is hard in your 40s. A Florida couple has hit the trifecta, Mallie.
Okay.
They have had sex in a police cruiser after being busted for drunken driving on bicycles. You thought you could not embarrass yourself any further. Evidently, this Florida couple has managed to do it.
Do it? Like do the deed?
Yes, in a police cruiser after drunk driving on bicycles. Oh, because
that's smart.
Well, sometimes it's hard to find a place to do it, but why not in a cruiser?
Yeah, but if he's drunk, how's he getting up?
Well, there's certain magical elixirs, Mallie.
Yes, okay.
What is it? It's the whiskey that brings down the flagpole. It's other elixirs that bring you to full attention.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll have a full list for you on the next On the Rocks with Mallie Fox.
What to drink and what not to drink.
What to drink and what not to drink. There's certain fire water and others that'll just put out your fire.
Right.
A Florida couple had a kinky date that included drinking, riding bicycles in the dark. Isn't that a Brenda Russell tune?
I think so.
I think it is. And then having sex in the back of a police cruiser, according to a Nassau County Sheriff's Office report obtained by the Smoking Gun. 31-year-old, I'm sorry, cops claim, not a 31-year-old cops. Cops claim that 31-year-old Aaron Thomas and 35-year-old Megan Mondanero were pedaling south on South Fletcher Lane with no lights on their bikes. Well, that can't be the worst thing they did here.
Right.
Really. Yeah. When they were nearly run over by a car that didn't see them. When officers pulled over the pair, he reportedly smelled booze on both of their breath. Wouldn't be the worst thing on their breath that night, Mallie. Just saying. What? Noting Mondanero's slurred speech and bloodshot eyes, cops informed the cyclist that they would be conducting a sobriety test. This is when the bow chicka wow wow starts to happen. Mm-hmm. When Mondanero declined to participate, she was arrested for a DUI. Cops also arrested Thomas, cuffed him. That's when the kinky stuff started to happen, and put the two of them into the back of the police cruiser. Now cue the Barry White music.
Mm-hmm. Let's get it on.
And Officer Mark Hunter writes in his report, while I was outside of my patrol vehicle, Megan and Aaron took their clothes off and started to have sex, because why not? One of them's got handcuffs on. They're all alone in the back of a police cruiser, and I'm outside of it. What was he supposed to do? Play referee? Throw a bottle of lube in there?
Ugh.
Hope for the best? He said, when I opened the door to stop them, Erin was naked and Megan had her pants down where her vaginal area was visible. He's so mechanical and medical about this whole thing.
Yeah, I would have been like to the reporter, yeah, she had her JJ out.
Yeah, she was popping that thing.
Yeah.
That's what I would have said as the cop.
Yep.
But, you know. Hunter also reported Mondanero's bra had been partially removed and her breasts were visible.
Basically, her boobs are showing.
Yep.
Partially.
She had them tatas swinging and she was popping that thing.
And there we go.
Yep.
Police report done. Drop mic.
Thomas was swinging in the breeze.
Yeah.
When officers opened the door, Thomas reportedly tried to run away. Good look for him with handcuffs on. And Mondanero became violent and started kicking.
Feisty.
So sure, her parts were all out. And she just became wild woman there.
She probably forgot.
Well,
she was kind of drunk.
She was. She was taken to a hospital for a medical evaluation, then arrested. Once in custody, Mondanero, here it comes, blew a .066 on a breathalyzer. Oh yeah, she was wound up.
Yep.
Thomas's blood alcohol level is not noted on the report. Both are accused of engaging in lascivious acts and resisting arrest. Nassau County Sheriff's Office has not replied to a request for comment, probably out of sheer embarrassment. So there you go. Yep.
So let's go into our next segment, Spill the Martini, where we talk a little paranormal. But first, I want to remind people to, if you've got a story or a comment or something not very nice, email it to us. And that's ontherocksradio@gmail.com, ontherocksradio@gmail.com, and our rocks is ROX. Also, check out paranormalgirl.com. I've got some fun things coming up that you can purchase, and I'm going to get some blogging done. So there we go.
All right, so let's join that now. Spill the Martini.
It's so hard for me to sit back here in this studio looking at a guy out here hollering my name when last year I spent more money on spilt liquor in bars from one side of this world to the other than you made.
Spilling the martini.
Time once again to talk a little paranormal gossip, or as we say, spill the martini. So our first story, I'm going to start with Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay.
So she supposedly, well, not supposedly, she did get married this past weekend, but it was a haunted wedding venue. Hunger Games star Jennifer Lawrence, 29, tied the knot to her beau, Cook Maroney, 34, in front of family and a bunch of A-list friends on Saturday, according to People. The Oscar winner and her art dealer fiancé said I do in front of guests including Adele, Ashley Olsen, Emma Stone, Kris Jenner, and Amy Schumer, with the bride herself reportedly walking down the aisle in a Dior wedding dress. The newlyweds chose to have their nuptials at a grand estate called the Belcourt of Newport in Newport, Rhode Island, which is rumored to hide ghostly secrets under its pretty facade. In fact, the current owner revealed they had a shaman perform ceremonies to expel evil entities. Now, the dark history of Belcourt is one of many sprawling estates on Rhode Island, a state situated north of New York and known for its old money and high society past. In 1891, American socialite and politician Oliver Belmont enlisted distinguished architect Richard Morris Hunt. He designed the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty, among other prestigious projects. He was hired to design a summer cottage overlooking the water on the state's southern coast. Oliver's dream bachelor pad was inspired by Louis XVI's hunting lodge at Versailles and featured stables for his many beloved horses and a single bedroom. But Oliver's rocky personal life may have left his home tainted. Without his parents' consent, Playboy Oliver married beautiful socialite Sarah Swan Whitting. But the romance was short-lived. Oliver's penchant for absinthe saw him become very violent and abusive towards Sarah on their honeymoon in Paris, and he soon abandoned his new wife for a French dancer. Sarah realized she was pregnant after the two divorced, giving birth to a daughter, Nautica Caroline Belmont, in 1883, and Nautica was disowned by Oliver, who she never met, and was excluded as a Belmont heir. Within 3 years, Oliver had married his recently divorced neighbor, Alva Vanderbilt, who moved into and began renovating the Belmont almost immediately. Nautica met a tragic end at the age of 22 years old when she was found dead in her bed in a New York City apartment. She reportedly passed away from gas poisoning from a gaslit chandelier. While she didn't die at Belmont, it's not a stretch to suggest that Nautica's spirit may have come to haunt the home that she was denied. After Oliver's death, the house stayed in the Belmont family until 1940, making it one of the longest family-owned mansions in the area. After it was sold, however, it changed several hands, and it was at one point used for hosting lavish, raunchy parties, such as No Underwear Allowed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
This was done as the building slowly fell into ruin. Due to its rich and controversial history, the Belmont is rumored to be haunted, with various owners running ghost and murder mystery tours over the years to capitalize on the paranormal aspect. In 2012, the chateau was purchased by a jeweler, and she renovated it and cleansed the property. She said that there were energies and entities, some not pleasant. I had a shaman perform ceremonies. We did a major cleansing energy-wise, she told the New York Times in 2013. She said there was a lot of heaviness, but we took care of that. Now the house has a different vibration. Today, thanks to Caroline's perseverance, she's the one that owns the place, the Belmont has been restored to its former glory, making a fitting venue for Jennifer and Cook's nuptials. The pair well, we don't need to know about the wedding planner. They had an extravagant menu, which is no surprise. And let's see if there's anything else interesting. No.
All right, then.
So anyway, so they had their party at this mansion. I saw the pictures, though. It's gorgeous. And it's pretty cool that it's, thought to be haunted. So, but I like how they say, like, the summer cottage, when it is like 20 mansions put together for one house. It's like, oh, this is 40,000 square feet. Yeah. It's a summer cottage. So, but anyway, so yes. So now Jennifer Lawrence is married, so she's, not taken anymore. She can be taken off of people's list of, what do you call it when you your freebies?
Oh, the gratis list?
Yeah. I know a couple of people that she was on the freebie. They'd get away with it if they were able to meet her.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get that freebie if you're married or you're in a relationship.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious as far as the kinky swanky parties that they had at that place.
Well, I read another article when it was talking about those kind of parties, the orgies.
Right.
And the women the no panties, the women had to stand over a mirror in order to gain entrance.
Is that how they did it?
Yes.
See, I was just going to ask. See, you're reading my mind here, Mallie.
Oh.
How did they know?
Yeah. They had to stand over a mirror.
I didn't know how they did that check. I don't know if it was a mirror.
Yes.
Okay, so they did it very fancily.
Yes, those rich people are kinky.
I guess. Huh? They had something on Rick James, I guess.
Hey, so who would be on your list if you were to have a freebie? Who would it be? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, a freebie? Like you mean like a hall pass?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Boy, now we're getting into territory.
Well, it's just a question.
I have to go with Halle Berry, Janet Jackson. I got a list.
Okay, you haven't thought of this at all.
No, not at all. I don't have anything planned out. Halle Berry, Janet Jackson.
I liked Ryan Reynolds. He was on my list. Yeah. He's funny.
Who all is on your list? There's a couple more, but I'd have to narrow it down.
I mean, he's the only one that really comes to mind right now. I'm sure that if I thought about it, I'd be like, oh yeah, him, him too. But right now, he's just the one because he makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So it's not always about looks.
No?
I mean, that doesn't help. I mean, it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But
there's Ricky Lindholm, believe it or not.
You're going to say Ricky Lake.
No, not Ricky Lake. No, Ricky Lindholm. She's a comedian.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always had a thing for her. Yeah. Yeah. And with her, it's just it's the sense of humor and the looks, but mainly the sense of humor. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I'm a weird individual, though. So yeah. Yeah.
So what's your story?
Well, I've been seeing these commercials lately, Melly, and you may have seen them too over on the Travel Channel. And I'm not talking the Holzer Files, or I'm not talking Ghost Nation or any of those, which we're being bombarded with. But there's a show called Famously Afraid.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen these commercials or not, but they're pretty interesting. And they show all kinds of famous people like Montel Williams and Howie Mandel, and they show up and they say one line and then they go away. It's kind of interesting. In a new Travel Channel series suitably titled Famously Afraid, celebrities ranging from championship athletes to Emmy award-winning actors will provide personal, detailed accounts of their experiences with paranormal activity. In each episode, 3 celebrities and additional witnesses will offer an eerie behind-the-scenes look into the unearthly encounters varying from UFO sightings, demonic possessions, haunted houses, and more. Famously Afraid echoes the Travel Channel's commitment to paranormal programming. In October, as part of its 31 days of spine-tingling adventures, the channel adds 7 new series and 4 miniseries and specials. Again, those stars that show up in the series include Howie Mandel from America's Got Talent, Tori Spelling from Beverly Hills 90210, Amber Rose, who's on the new Batwoman series. I'm not Amber Rose. I'm sorry.
I was like...
Amber Rose is somebody different, model and actress. I got my actresses mixed up. I'm still thinking about who's on my list, on my hall pass list. Kate Flannery from The Office, Montel Williams, and more will tell their tales with the supernatural in the new series. For many of these celebrities, it is the first time they are choosing to share their personal accounts with the paranormal. This, according to Matthew Butler, general manager of the Travel Channel. He said that in a press release. Kind of interesting stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing that show, too. Because
I think it'd be interesting, yeah.
I find celebrities' encounters with the paranormal fascinating because you wonder sometimes if the paranormal... and here's my take on it. I wonder if their encounter with the paranormal is really an encounter with the paranormal, or is it kind of a... You're going to laugh when I say this. Kind of a flash or of a encounter with the ego.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That's a different take.
It's not so much I had a real experience, but I think I thought I saw something because I'm that important. Something's influencing me because I'm that important.
See, I never thought it that way. But, hey, did you ever see that show? What channel was it on? Was it Biography? I can't remember. But it was the psychic. Her name was Kim. Is it Russo? No. Kim Russo's an actress. Is it Russo?
I think it might be.
Yeah, and she used to, she worked with celebrities, and so the celebrity would tell them about their haunting.
Yes.
And then she would go to that place and kind of talk it through.
Yes.
There were some of them where I was like, ooh, heebie-jeebies.
There's one, I believe that we're talking about the same series. There's one with Rowdy Piper, who's since passed away.
Yes, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that one was disturbing to me because there were a few professional wrestlers who had passed that he said still haunted his home.
Okay.
One of them being Owen Hart, who actually died 20 years ago now. Yeah.
Is that the one that passed away in the hotel room?
No, he passed away falling from the rafters in Kansas City.
Oh, okay.
While at a WWE pay-per-view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And he claimed that he showed up at his house while he had lit a fire. This is up in Canada. His home was up in Canada. He claimed he had lit a fire and Owen had come to him in a full body apparition. And Roddy had kept gargoyles all around his home in that old-fashioned superstition that gargoyles were guardians against spirits. But he said he had seen I'm trying to remember. He had seen the spirits of Adrian Adonis, who was a tag team partner to our governor, Jesse Ventura, at one time in the AWA, and Owen Hart, among a few others. And he really, and Roddy was a guy who at one time was trying to set up a wellness center for other retired professional wrestlers. So he really looked out after his fellow wrestlers. And what's interesting is that even in life, he was haunted by the fact that these guys were dying young.
Right.
And the fact that he was seeing them in his home was just eerie.
Maybe he had a special ability and he wasn't aware of it.
I think he might have.
You know what I mean? If he's seeing more than one.
Yeah, I think he might have. He might have. But now he's passed on. He passed on from a heart attack a few years ago. So now Roddy's with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. Did you want me to do this story I have in front of me here?
Go for it.
Well, Tom DeLonge has been in the headlines for quite a while. Tom DeLonge used to be with Blink-182, and he started his own organization as he got into aliens and alien disclosure, as a matter of fact. And now he's been drafted, so to speak, Mallie, drafted by the U.S. Army to help them find aliens. Evidently, he's better at it than our own government. Mm-hmm. So now they're...
Move over, NASA.
That's right. Now he's being drafted by the government to help find them. Blink-182's Tom DeLonge has been closer and closer to finally finding other life forms in our universe. And while we all laughed, we all giggled, we all read stories about them and guffawed, the U.S. Army, well, they're getting serious. They've offered him a research contract to help identify UFOs. The former frontman of the pop-punk Princes, you say that 10 times fast, Blink-182, DeLonge has been focusing on his outer space project called To the Stars Academy, or TTSA, for some time now. While the music world generally giggled at such a change in career for DeLonge, it appears that the joke was all likely on us. The organization got a massive win when the U.S. Navy confirmed that some videos recently sent their way after being made public by the UFO research organization showed unknown objects in American airspace. Now Business Insider reports that U.S. Army Combat Capabilities Development Command is interested in DeLonge's technology research. They're the most interested in material science, space-time metric engineering, quantum physics, beamed energy propulsion, and active camouflage, have the potential to enhance survivability and effectiveness of multiple Army systems. The deal will see the Army providing facilities and resources for TTSA's journey into exploring material and technology innovations in order to develop enhanced capabilities for Army ground vehicles. Aerospace Division Director Steve Justice for TTSA said the deal is necessary to advance the state-of-the-art in both our near and long-term technology areas of study. While the Army has specific military performance interests in the research, much of the work is expected to have dual-use application in support of TTSA's path to commercialization and public benefit mission. So yes, Tom DeLonge is likely to be employed by the U.S. government to help with the identification of UFOs, and this is the world that we live in. So Tom DeLonge has found a way to turn stargazing into a regular job.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
His angels and airwaves must not be doing very well.
I guess not, no.
So Helena Bonham Carter, she says that she got acting tips after contacting the Queen's late sister through a medium. True, the princess has been dead for 17 years, but that proved no obstacle for actress Helena Bonham Carter, who says that she asked the Queen's late sister for some acting tips just the other day. Miss Bonham Carter, of course, plays the role of a middle-aged Margaret in the Netflix series The Crown, and she told the Cheltenham Literature Festival how, with the help of a medium, she gained some valuable royal insights into how the princess should portray on the screen. It's all about the fags, apparently. Okay, now, if you don't know, fags are cigarettes over in England.
Oh.
Yes. Getting the smoking rights to the spirit of Margaret, just in case someone's unaware.
Yes.
And according to Miss Bonham Carter, the princess then continued, I'd smoked in a very particular way. Remember, the cigarette holder was as much of a weapon for expression as it was for smoking.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Now I need to see me and be like, okay, so how can I be a millionaire? I don't need acting. I just want to make some money.
Yeah.
So I'll contact, Steve Jobs? Who should I contact?
Isn't Steve Jobs dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm contacting a medium.
Oh yeah. I guess the advice is still good if it's from the other side, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
well, you could always get a hold of Nikola Tesla too. I heard
that's true, but he got screwed over though.
Well, yeah, screw him over twice. You can do it from the other side as well.
No, with my luck, he'd probably come and haunt me. He'd be like, "Oh, someone's actually interested."
Oh, you want to use my ideas, do you? Yes.
So what you got?
Elijah, what's interesting, Mallie, is we all have a fear of death. Well, I shouldn't say we have a fear of death, but we have a fear that our loved ones could go before us, that they may die suddenly.
Mm-hmm. I have that situation with my dogs.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of us, I don't know that we sit and we worry from day to day that'll happen, but there's certain situations. Mm-hmm. Friends and family are going on long trips, so they're going into a situation that's dangerous. We tend to worry about them. Well, Elijah Wood always worries about his friends and family dying and how the passage of time will change his own life as people stop being part of it. It's a constant fear, in other words. The 38-year-old actor admits as he's gotten older, he worries about a lot of the passage of time and how his life will be changed as years go by due to the loss of loved ones. In an interview with website bloodydisgusting.com, he says, "When I was young, the idea of getting older was really exciting to me. I had a profound yearning to be an adult. Then I became an adult, and then suddenly that idea shifted and became a little bit of a fear, not in regards to my own life or death, but rather the passage of time and the people I love and care about going away due to age or death. The passage of time in regards to other people who are profound in my life. Since finding global fame by playing heroic hobbit Frodo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings film trilogy, Elijah has taken on a number of different roles and has diversified his career by DJing and voicing video games. His latest project is a podcast called Visitations, which he has launched with his friend Daniel Noah, which sees the pair interview their heroes from the world of horror. Elijah, who has starred in genre films such as Maniac and Cooties, has been obsessed with scary movies ever since he watched Joe Dante's 1984 classic Gremlins, and he thinks that horror plays a big part in helping people process things that are too painful to deal with directly. He said horror's all catharsis and a way to process and deal with things that we either haven't dealt with in our life or are too painful to deal with directly. Gremlins was probably one of the first horror films I saw, he went on to say. My brother is 7 years older than me, so I had the benefit of having an older brother who was renting horror movies with his friends. He would bring them home and show them to me, despite the fact that my mom wouldn't have wanted me to see them. I was exposed to direct-to-VHS films, one of my favorites still to this day, and one of my earliest memories of horror is a movie called Truth or Dare, A Critical Madness by Tim Ritter. That and Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, I saw around the same time. I think I was 6 or 7 when I saw those movies. Now, that brings up an interesting question, Mallie.
Okay.
He brings up, and he's a relatively young man at 38. And I say relatively young man. 38 is middle age, obviously. But he's at a point in time in his life where he's going to start losing people.
Right.
So that's a natural fear. It's a very natural fear. Now, in the next 5 to 6 years, he's going to start losing people. Mm-hmm. He may even get to an age where he's going to start losing grandparents, parents, people in his life that are a fixture in his life. Cousins, uncles, relatives, great uncles. I don't know where you're at in your life where you've had certain relatives drop off, but
it was like my late 30s. That's when my grandparents and other relatives had started to pass away.
Yeah, and I'm at a point now in my life where pretty much everyone who was involved in my formative years is gone, with the exception of a few uncles and aunts. My parents, and I still have cousins around and stuff like that. But, I don't know how to tell old Frodo Baggins here, but it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
But with that comes a maturation process. And I think that happens with everyone. Mm-hmm. And I think if it doesn't happen, there's an issue. I think because you do have a circle to talk to, whether it be friends, whether it be family, I think that's part of what funerals are for. Mm-hmm. You do get together and you do go, Jesus, what is this all about? Why are we all sitting around, watching these people pass? Why aren't we getting together? Why aren't we having these same, family get-togethers like our parents had with each other, our grandparents had with each other? I know, like my cousins, we all got together recently. My great uncle Ernie had passed, and he was the last of the elders that passed. Mm-hmm. And this was this past spring. And when we did, we sat and we talked, and we were saying, we used to have family reunions every summer. There used to be pig roasts in the winter and fall, or rather than winter, but the spring and fall. And, there used to be huge family get-togethers. And at least we got to see each other every season, when every season turned. And it was important because we were at least somewhat familiar with each other.
Right.
And it made these occasions when we did see each other, the sadder occasions, mean something. And there is going to come a time, if we don't keep those traditions up, where when one of us passes, it won't mean as much to the younger generation. And those younger generations won't know each other.
Right.
And I think in a generation where what's really cool is this generation that has technology at their fingertips where they can know each other on social media and get to know each other on social media. What's sad is that they don't know each other. Mm-hmm. The closer we are with technology, the further apart we really are. Mm-hmm. So we were just telling ourselves we got to redouble our efforts and really get to know each other. I don't know how it is with your family.
Well, my family's very small. Mm-hmm. So my dad's an only child, and my mother's siblings have passed, and her parents have passed. And so, and because, nowadays everyone moves, you don't stay in the same community or within, 20 minutes of each other. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't really know much of her family. There's not many family members left.
Okay.
But I think nowadays it's so easy to get caught up in your own little world that you become so busy and you don't prioritize, you don't make family, important enough to say, okay, let's organize a gathering this date and whatever. It's so easy to come up with excuses. And I'm sorry to see that trend. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So, and with my family, we're spread out. I've got one brother living in DC. I have one brother that just moved back from Portland. I've got one brother, in Minnesota. I live in Detroit, so we're like all over the place. My grandparents, once that was in, Louisville. Mm-hmm. So it's just, my parents are in Minnesota. So it's just kind of, we're all spread out. So, we talk a lot. We have a group text that we're always texting and stuff like that. But it is, it is hard for us to get together.
Yeah, it can be. It really takes a little bit of work. It's funny. Yeah. It's funny how when we didn't have the technology, it seemed to be easier.
Yeah.
To make the time.
Well, less things to get in your way.
Right. And now that we've complicated life with technology, it seems harder. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of.
No, I agree, and it's kind of sad. So
it is.
You don't want someone to pass when you could have, and you don't want I should have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that should never be the words of regret. I should have.
Right. So, that's one good thing about this podcast is it gets my ass here to Minnesota.
There you go.
So, every month I get to see at least two of my brothers and, my parents and stuff because they're not getting any younger, which is kind of sad. But,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You want me to throw this one out here in front of me?
Yeah, and then I'll read one more story.
All right. Yvette Fielding, who we've had in Spill the Martini in past months.
Oh, yeah, the magnet in the pants.
Yes, there was that story. Reveals her scariest paranormal experience was in a council house in, we'll just say Pontefract, because I don't know the uppity pronunciation, nor shall I check.
We don't have time for that.
No, we don't. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
Yvette Fielding may have had over 17 years of experience as a ghost hunter, but the presenter has revealed that her scariest paranormal experience was actually in a council house in Pontefract.
Now you're making it Scottish.
Yeah, I am. She admitted that the countless ghost hunts she's been on in haunted castles have paled in comparison to the investigation of 30 East Drive, which houses the world's most violent poltergeist. The perfectly normal-looking semi-detached house on the Checkers Fields estate in East Yorkshire is said to be home to the Black Monk of Pontefract. I'm just getting stupid with it now. And even paranormal experts were freaked out by the experience. Yvette told metro.co.uk the most scary was a council house in Pontefract where nobody has been able to live for so long because of all the awful things that were happening there. And it's such a normal place, but so much poltergeist activity is happening there. You always feel a bit scared when you go to an old castle or something, but this was worse as the location was just so normal. The house the home hasn't been lived in full time since the 1960s after a family were plagued by lights turning off and on, items levitating or disappearing altogether, and foul smells and pictures being slashed. Yvette has also seen members of the crew getting attacked by violent ghosts, explaining, "I have seen it with my own eyes. Members of the crew have been scratched or burned, and I actually quit the show for a while because I thought we are messing with things we shouldn't be here." Despite being pretty fearless when it comes to facing ghosts head on, Yvette admits that she prefers to watch Mary Poppins rather than a horror film when she gets home. Oh, I can't explain why she doesn't want to bring work home with her, Mallie.
Exactly.
Got no idea why. She told them that the scariest movie that she had ever seen was The Exorcism of Emily Rose. She said, "I had to go watch a screening of it at the cinema, and I swear I had to have a cup of hot, sweet tea afterwards because I was so scared." That was my nickname in college, by the way.
Sweet tea?
Hot, sweet tea. Yeah. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I usually like to watch Mary Poppins or Bedknobs and Broomsticks when I go home. Movies about the paranormal can mess with your mind, especially with what I do for a living. And that one was based on a true story about Annalise Michelle, and it was just terrifying. So I like to watch Mary Poppins instead. Interestingly enough,
yes.
When I was in Chicago this past weekend, Christopher St. Booth pulled me aside and said he had the box of Annalise Michelle's remains.
Get out.
And wanted to show it to me, and I ran out of time. I literally...
How did he get that?
I don't remember the story behind it. He was explaining it to me. We had some time together on Friday night after I had been... After I'd been nearly killed. And he pulled me aside and he was explaining to me how I'm trying to remember how he said he came upon it and got it. But he procured the box and he said, "If you want, brother, I'll show you the box." And I said, "I would love to see it."
Right.
And he said, "I'll show it to you." He said, "I don't want to bring it out and unveil it before our talk."
Right.
But our talk is Sunday.
Oh, is that
at
why
2.
he brought it?
Yes.
Was for the talk?
Yep,
okay.
he brought it to the talk because he was going to show everybody the box. But he said, "I will show you the inside of the box."
Her ashes?
Yes. Before my talk at 2. Because his brother was there too, Philip.
Because didn't she die during the exorcism?
Yes.
Okay.
She died during the exorcism. He said, because he and Philip were speaking together.
Okay.
Philip,
they haven't done that for a while.
They have not talked together for a while. And sure enough, I had to go clean out my van.
Right.
Up in Elgin, and I was on my way out the door. They're on their way to their talk, and he said, "Brother, do you want to see what's in the box?" And I said, "Of course I want to see what's in the box." And I'm like, "I'm on my way out the door," and of course they're like, "Come on, let's go. We got to go clean out the van." I'm like, "Oh, geez."
Oh yeah, you're right.
So I missed seeing what was in the box, and I said, "Can I take a rain check?" And he said, "Sure." And I said, "Are you going to be here at 4 when I get back?" And he said, "I don't know. We're supposed to be on our way to the airport right around now."
Oh.
So I missed it.
Oh. Now, what was the movie called that was based on that property? Do you remember? Because the movie was freaky. I remember the old man in the living room that they kept showing.
The Booth Brothers movie?
No, I don't think it was
or are you talking the Exorcism of Emily Rose?
No, the other one. I didn't think the Booths did the movie though based on that home. Because I thought that they had
The other one of Annalise Michelle?
No. The movie based on that house.
Oh, the one that was based on the house.
Yeah, where it had, I think that they had the Warrens come in the movie. What was it called? It was kind of creepy.
I don't remember.
I'll have to look it up. Because I think there was a movie based on that we went and saw.
That wouldn't be... You're not talking about in the Conjuring series, are you?
No, I don't think it was maybe it was. Maybe it was Conjuring 2.
Was it Conjuring 2?
I think it was Conjuring 2. I think it was based on that house, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look.
Okay.
That I'm a little hairy on, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you look that up while I read this last story.
Okay.
Okay, so staying in the UK, Holly Willoughby, she left terrified by the haunting ice studio where she did Dancing on Ice. But so the Dancing on Ice studio is said to be haunted by a creepy presence that leaves stars quaking in their skates. The eerie atmosphere is said to be scary, so scary that presenter Holly Willoughby once told her co-star Philip Schofield that she didn't want to go back. After a 4-year break, the show returned in 2018, but relocated to the RAF Bovingdon Airfield near Hemel Hempstead in Hertfordshire. I think I destroyed that.
Hertfordshire?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, destroyed that word. And it wasn't long before people began feeling a spooky presence. The area closed down in 1972 and was left filled with derelict buildings. It has been heavily used during the Second World War up until 1964 by the RAF and U.S. Army Air Forces. And it's thought that numerous strange occurrences on the site over the years have been caused by ghosts of fallen soldiers. People walking their dogs nearby have reported a presence that causes their animals to howl and try to run away in fear, while others have reported a strange smell of bubblegum in the area. Well, that's weird.
That is weird.
Philip once left Holly spooked when he talked about the ghostly going-ons as they were presenting this morning together. He told her, "I've saved this moment to tell you that Bovington Airfield, where we filmed Dancing on Ice, is haunted. Did you know that that place is haunted?" Mm-hmm. A shocked Holly said, "Why are you telling me this? Has anyone ever seen anything?" And Philip told her, "It's haunted by the airmen who have died. Their bodies have been brought back from war. Some of the crew have seen ghosts." Judge Ashley Banjo has also been affected by the spirits in the past. The diversity star once said that he spends as little time as possible in the studio after seeing a spooky mist that others say they have seen as well. He said, "I've seen a few mists. I'm not going to lie. I go from the changing room to the stage. No wandering around for me." So, yeah. Did you find anything?
Conjuring 2 is supposed to be about the Enfield poltergeist.
Okay. Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
I don't know. Oh, well. I thought there was a movie based on that place, though. They're starting to all blend together.
Kind of does after you've seen thousands of movies about paranormal topics, that's for sure.
Yep. And speaking of seeing movies, you and I talked last time that we were going to give each other movies to watch.
Oh, good Lord, that's right.
Yes. And we were going to talk about how bad the movies were, like in a little 2-minute, mine will be 1 minute review. And how many drinks did it take? Because what were we calling it? There aren't enough drinks in this world to make me watch this or something like that.
That's right. There aren't enough drinks in this world to make me watch it.
Yes. So we are going to discuss that in just a sec.
I must have killed more men than Cecil B. DeMille.
I'll drink to that.
There's not enough liquor and therapy in the world to undo that.
All right, so there's not enough drinks in this world to make me want to watch this, Mallie.
Yes.
And the movie that I chose for you was?
It was, just drew a blank. That's how bad it was.
No God.
It was, holy crap. The Haunting of Sharon Tate.
That's right, The Haunting of Sharon Tate.
And we should have known it was bad because it stars Hilary Duff. And she is not like the best actress in the world. Okay. So, I mean, I've got a fascination with Sharon Tate. You know, it's. I mean, the tragedy is awful, but you know, I find her fascinating. She was this beautiful actress, you know, in the 1960s, and then she was murdered by Manson and his friends. So I was like, okay, well, this movie might be kind of interesting. No. So I had one glass of wine, and then I fell asleep. So it was that bad. Acting was bad. It had a different take because it was more like she had these dreams that were telling her that she was basically going to be killed. And I remember hearing something like that actually happened in real life. She did have that dream where she saw, I think, was it Sebring or C? Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But anyway, she saw him tied and then the woman was dead and whatever. And it actually been her and her friend. But, so it kept going to like these dreams. And then there was like this, because Manson wanted to get into music and he thought that the previous owner still lived there. I think it was one of the Beach Boys. And he had left some music behind. And so she was listening to it. And it was basically sounding like devil worshiping. And it was very disturbing. And I fell asleep. So it took me one drink and I was out because I was bored. So that's my review. I do not recommend it whatsoever. The acting is not good. The storyline is like, eh. So, yeah. So that was my experience. I made it through one glass of wine and then I fell asleep because I was not entertained. And I've seen some pretty bad movies, but this was up there. So, yeah, that's my review. Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Well.
So go with yours. What did you?
I'll give you it here in just a second. Was Requiem the movie you were thinking of with Evilise? Or not Evilise.
Maybe. I don't remember.
That was the only other movie that was made about that subject.
Huh. Maybe it was then.
Okay.
Or it was then. Hello. It was that.
All right. The movie you gave me was a movie called Head Count, which is available now on Netflix.
Yep.
And the only way I would ever watch this movie, you can obtain it by going to YouTube, Amazon Prime Video, or Google Play, and you can pay for the thing. I wouldn't give it more than a couple of cents.
Right. Well, I tried to do something that you wouldn't have to pay for. So I was like, do you have Netflix? Because
I appreciate that. I really, 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 really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really do. Here's the deal, and here's how a head count goes, and I'm going to try and make it as short and sweet as possible. And here's the interesting reviews. I'll tell you what, Rotten Tomatoes gave it 63%. This is what surprises me.
Okay.
IMDb gave it 5.3 out of 10, which is pretty generous, and Metacritic gave it 48%. I wouldn't give it that much.
I think Rotten Tomatoes gave my movie like less than 20%.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it was bad.
Mm-hmm. This movie had kind of a ridiculous premise.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Basically, it has everything to do with this guy named Evan, and he has a kind of a meddling older brother. And Evan, his meddling older brother is Peyton. And Evan gets off of school. He's in college, and he's got to be out of the dorm. So he goes to visit his brother in Joshua Tree, California. And his brother lives in a trailer out in the middle of the desert, which is kind of like living in a van down by the river.
Right.
And so he's going to stay with them for a few days while the dorms are closed. I don't know what break only lasts a couple of days. You tell me it's not Christmas, Thanksgiving, or even Easter. I don't know. So he's out there in the middle of Joshua Tree, and he says, dude, you should meet my biking friends, my bike riding friends, or my other friends, or my friends that don't do anything. Because his brother, his older brother, Peyton, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he gets high on life, he's a hippie. Okay?
Don't drink, don't smoke, what do you do?
That's right. Evan will do basically anything. He'll drop shrooms, he'll smoke weed, he'll ingest gasoline. Whatever you want him to do, he'll do. He's not really a partier. He looks like a bookworm. He's basically a nondescript college student. So they go hiking to this top of this rock, whatever it is, and they see a bunch of other college-age students, nondescript college-age students of different races and creeds and colors and attitudes, whatever they want to be. And they're all just basically getting high on top of a rock looking at the sun. Because why wouldn't you?
Right.
And so Evan wants to hang out with them. Peyton wants to leave. They split the difference. And they hang out. And there's this girl named Zoe who Evan has kind of a crush on, and she's always taking pictures. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing starts from here. So Evan decides he wants to hang with the kids rather than hang with his older brother Peyton. Peyton decides to let Evan hang with the kids because Evan is singling and mingling, and Peyton decides that Evan needs to get laid. So he lets his younger brother... I
hear your description is much better than mine. Mine's like, girl has dreams and that she's going to be murdered, and I fell asleep. That was like my review. Yours like so detailed.
Well, I'm trying to give him a little meat to the potatoes. Right. A little something, Mallie. To give him a little something to decide if they really want this thing or not. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm putting in their head. You don't want to watch what I watch, so we're just going right there.
So here's the deal.
Okay.
So essentially, they go to the kids they go to the top of the rock. They smoke weed all day. They decide they're going to drink some tequila. They're going to do shots. They're going to go back to this rental home they all rented.
Okay.
And here's where the fun begins. Because they go back to the rental home. They do a fire outside in the fire pit. And they're drinking tequila. And they're telling scary stories. Now,
okay.
This is where bad stuff happens.
Okay.
Allie. So, when it's Evan's turn, Evan's not a very good scary storyteller.
What drink are you on by now? By this time?
Number 4. Because I'm thoroughly bored. I'm watching on my iPad because I wanted something to throw if it was getting really bad.
Right.
And I'm winding up with the iPad right now.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for a place to deposit it. I don't want to throw it in the toilet because I don't have protection on the electronics
like
protection.
A warranty.
I don't have Apple Care on the iPad. So I don't want to throw it in the toilet.
Right.
I don't want to throw it through the window because I don't want to break a window.
Yeah.
I'm looking for some place soft for this to land.
Right.
And I'm just looking for a place to aim. At this point, Evan is looking for a scary story, and he's looking on his phone. So the guy gives him a website to find a scary story. Well, he points him right at what's supposed to be a quote-unquote scary story. And I still can't tell you what this monster's name is. It's like a hiji, a hiji, a hiji, a hiji, a hiji. I don't know what it's called. It's the worst name for a monster ever on the face of the planet, and I don't know. Basically, here's the premise for the monster, Mallie, and it sounds like somebody's really bad ex-girlfriend. Okay. Here's the premise: shapeshifter. Will only kill you if you're in a group of 5.
Well, yeah. Don't be in a group of 5.
That's it. If you're in a group of 6, it'll
fine.
It'll come party with you. It'll hang out. It'll play games with you, which it does.
Right.
In the movie, they're in a group of 10, so it like disguises itself as one of the people, and it starts playing a game of fuck, marry, kill, or whatever it is they're doing.
Right.
And it starts doing all kinds of other things until they realize it's a doppelganger, and then it turns all the lights off and leaves. Boo, kids. Right?
So how does it end? Did you fall asleep?
I know how it ends. Do you really want to know?
We probably shouldn't say it just in case someone's very curious.
Yeah,
don't say it.
I won't say how it ends. I'll tell you this much. Here's one of the stupidest things that could have happened in the movie, and it happens right away. This is one of the stupid hiji attacks. Okay. And I think this is how it's pronounced. I'm not sure. It's a hiji, hizi, huzzah. I don't know what it's called. It's not remarkable. Okay. So the hiji. Okay. So Zoe, which is Evan's girlfriend,
right?
Gorgeous girl, gorgeous African American girl, is taking. She's always taking photographs, right? Well, she has to make the move on Evan because, pardon my language, earmuffs, kids. Evan's a pussy. All right. Doesn't know when a girl's all over him. Wants to, make the make the nookie with him,
right?
And do the Wookiee. So he doesn't make a first move. She makes the first moves on him all the time. So they go up to this rock to take pictures and look around and see beauty and see nature and all this other stuff. Well, they're all standing on the edge of this rock. And, of course, it's a group of 5 that's standing up there.
Right.
Which you don't figure it out to begin with.
Okay.
Well, the shapeshifter inhabits her body. Okay. And just to see what it feels like to be in a body, it decides to make her jump off the edge of this cliff and fall like 12 feet and sprain her ankle.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh.
Just make her jump off the cliff and sprain her ankle. No harm, no foul.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. I definitely will not be watching this movie either.
Right. Not the scariest thing in the world. Just a little test.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And like I said, it comes over, it gets drunk with the kids, it plays games. It scares Zoe and Evan when they're in the hot tub, just by doing a little rattle, like a rattlesnake rattle.
Okay.
Yeah, not a lot scares. Not a lot. Yeah. It's creepy and it hangs around. It's creepy until the end of the movie when they actually get in groups of 5. And then it's like, oh, you know what? You're in groups of 5 now. It's time to go to work.
So, like, out of a rating, 1 to 5, and 5 being the most amount of drinks you would have needed for this to watch this movie, what would you give it?
10.
I probably would have given mine a 10 too had I stayed away.
There wasn't enough liquor in the house to make me want to watch this thing again, much less the first time had I known. Yeah, it's not a good movie.
All right. Well,
head count. Don't go see it. If it's raining outside and there's a nuclear strike in your town and there's radiation all over the place and you're not able to leave your home, I would watch something else other than head count.
Yeah, and with The Haunting of Sharon Tate, I saw it on Amazon Prime, so it was free for me, and I do not recommend it. I probably, don't recommend it at all. There's a gentleman on YouTube who recommended some movies for us to watch too, so we might have to check that out.
Okay.
So any recommendations, email it to ontherocksradio at gmail.com, and rocks is ROX. Yeah. So now I've got to get my tush up to your kitchen because, yes, so there wasn't much in Nutella news.
But it's a special edition of Nutella news.
Yes.
If you remember right, from the last edition of Nutella news, we told you about the latest craze in Nutella sandwiches.
Right.
Which sounded ultimately gross as hell.
Yes. Discussing it. Involved mayonnaise, cheese, Nutella.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and do this with the twist, and I will tell you, we will taste it and let you know in the next segment how it is.
We're going to do it live for you.
Yeah, we're going to do it live.
Yeah.
But you know what? And I've never made a grilled cheese sandwich in my life.
No?
And I'm about to test this out.
Oh, we're gonna do this. We're going to show Mallie how to make a grilled cheese sandwich with Nutella and mayo. Yeah, it's coming up next on Nutella News.
Nutella News.
Spread the happy.
Welcome back. This is Nutella News. Now we're doing something special. We talked about last week talked about last month, this Nutella sandwich where it was Nutella, cheese, mayonnaise, and bread. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do something a little bit different because that just sounded plain old gross, and I have a really bad gag reaction. So I went a little fancy. So we got brioche bread. Yeah. And then I read something where you could do mayonnaise instead of butter. Mm-hmm. So we mayonnaised up the bread. And then we added Nutella and mascarpone cheese. Oh. So, and that's the stuff like you put in like tiramisu. Mm-hmm. So we did it. And the funny story is that as we stood up at the skillet, we were there for like 10 minutes and nothing was happening. And then Timmy realized you had to turn it on.
Well, this like induction cooking plate, like a hot plate, induction cooking plate. Mm-hmm. So I stood up there and I went, okay, so shit happened. And, I plugged it in. I went, okay, anytime now.
Yep.
I remembered you got to hit start. technicalities.
Right.
So, yeah, once you fire up start, the thing just works like a charm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we've got the sandwich in front of us.
Yes.
And it actually smells kind of good.
It does.
So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
I'm going to eat on air.
Mm-hmm. This is going to kill people who have sensitivities to sound.
Actually, it's really good.
Mm.
What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We actually found something.
You don't even taste the mayo.
No, but I was reading that people use mayonnaise instead of butter nowadays to do their grilled cheese sandwiches because it gives you just a tiny little, tang. But this almost tastes like French toast with chocolate and
it does.
Cream cheese almost.
Mm-hmm. This almost tastes like a breakfast sandwich.
Yeah. And it's gooey.
Mm-hmm.
This one actually turned out really well. Now, I don't know if the previous person was liking cheddar cheese and, a big glob of mayonnaise on the inside and chocolate, but
it might have been.
The way we did it, though, it freaking rocks.
Yeah, the way...
This is like a dessert.
You came up with a great combination with the mascarpone cheese. And
the brioche bread and...
Mm-hmm. This is light and fluffy like French toast.
Yeah, it tastes like French toast. Mm-hmm. So there we go. So if you guys want to give it a shot, go for it. Mm. I give this, this is good. So just butter not butter, but instead of buttering your bread, use mayonnaise.
Just a thin coat.
Yeah, really thin coat.
Yeah.
And then just to get it golden brown. And then on the inside, your mascarpone cheese and your Nutella. Mm-hmm. And it's really good.
Oh my God, that's so light and fluffy.
Yeah. There we go.
It's amazing.
So that's our Nutella segment.
Do we have to end it? We can't just eat sandwiches in people's ears all night?
Yeah, and keep going, What's a NPR radio where they're like,
yeah, no.
This is so delicious.
Would you like to eat my Sveti sandwich?
Mm-hmm, Sveti balls. The chocolate just melts in your mouth.
It's so supple. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And creamy.
So light.
Yeah.
It just melts in my mouth.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
And the crust, it's just... It's just so good. Mm-hmm. All right, so that is it for On the Rocks with Mallie Fox. Timmy, do you have anything else to say? You guys, you really should make this. It is really good. I'm not kidding. And I'm a picky eater.
Yeah, me too. I mean, not by my frame, you wouldn't guess that, but yeah. Yeah, I don't eat much these days. But yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We might have to later on down the road do a video of this.
I think so, yeah. Add it to the YouTube page, I think. We'll have
we'll do that. I'll bring the ingredients next time.
Once I figure out how to work the induction cooker. We'll have to
stand there for like 10 minutes touching the pan. It's not hot yet.
Yeah, not hot yet. Not hot yet. But we'll figure it out.
And we did it over medium heat.
Yep.
So.
Medium heat, just so you can monitor the bread, and we about a minute and a half on one side, minute and a half on the other. Yep. Makes the bread nice and golden brown, and by gosh, it was so good.
Yeah. And use a heartier bread too.
Yeah.
So not like Wonder Bread or anything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right, you guys. So have an amazing rest of your October as Timmy's choking. Is your herniated things coming up again?
No. It's not the hiatal hernia.
Oh.
No. It's just... I just was breathing and eating at the same time.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. But happy Halloween and have a great month, and we will talk to you next month.
Sounds good. Remember, On the Rocks Radio at gmail.com. We want your drunken stories. We want your insults. We want your compliments as well.
Yeah.
But make sure you send everything to ontherocksradio.com. And we want to hear from you from now until the next time we tape.
Yes. All right. Good night, you guys.